Hi guys, School here, and welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator video. In this one, we're going to discuss the update that Microsoft posted yesterday, August the 27th. They posted it late in the evening, European time, which basically had an update about the coming patch to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, this will be the very first patch that they've released since the release of Microsoft Flight Sim back on the 18th. And it details what we can expect in the patch and the fact that it will be coming within the next 7 days. So in this video, I'm going to read through the patch notes and give you my thoughts and opinions on it. You can read the patch notes in depth. I'll leave a link in the video description, but essentially it starts off by saying that the patch contains fixes to reduce crash and installation issues, along with other bug fixes and improvements, and they thank the community for the feedback. They then go on to say that in order to install the patch, when it does release, simply close Flight Simulator and relaunch it. Now, the patch notes then go on to say about stability issues, the title not crashing when various input devices peripherals are disconnected. This one has definitely hit me. I have a wireless Xbox controller that I use for the drone camera, and whenever I sort of put the Xbox controller down and after about 10 minutes the controller disconnects from the PC, for power saving reasons, it causes the sim to crash. What I've done now is plugged it into a USB cable so it doesn't do that, but if you do plug in a new device or peripheral, perhaps you forgot to turn your yoke on or something, or disconnect something, then it is susceptible to crashing. So this is a fix which is more than welcome. It then says about installation issues, various things here about the Microsoft Flight Simulator crashing, when there's a decompression of a package or a failed connection or some other onboarding stuff. Essentially what they're doing here is addressing a lot of the problems that people have had during installation, including hung installs where the package would just stop installing, and if they eventually kill it and restart it, it'll just download the whole 90 gigabyte install again. Or even in some cases I've heard of people going round and round in circles, constantly installing this 90 gig and unable to actually get to the point where they can play the sim. So essentially what they've done is prioritize those issues and say they just want to get people installing the sim and able to play it and enjoy it. The next one is one of the big ones. This is SimConnect. Significant FPS drop when using SimConnect should no longer affect the experience. Now, if you're unaware what SimConnect is an install that sits in the background, and it allows third-party tools to connect in and talk to the sim in real time. There's various tools that use this, and some of the more significant ones are things like VATSIM, Pilot Edge, and IVAO. They rely heavily on being able to talk to your sim and reporting your position constantly back to the network, and also injecting other aircraft that are on the network into your sim. And one of the reasons why you've not really seen anybody flying on IVAO, VATSIM or Pilot Edge with Microsoft Flight Simulator or making videos or streams about it is entirely because SimConnect is broken. It causes horrendous FPS drops when you try to pull SimConnect from any of these third-party networks. So this is something which is going to be addressed by the look of it, and the patch obviously will come in the next 7 days, so you can expect in about a week's time finally to be able to fly on your favorite network. And then the final two things in the patch notes are optimization. The performance has been improved when the display nameplate option is set active. So that, I think this is where when you've got nameplates visible on group flights, basically it's saying that this was causing a performance problem. Then there's something about the marketplace. The correct currency is now properly updated in the marketplace. I did see this one when the game first came out. In fact, it was displaying a virtual currency for me, but guys in the States were seeing it in dollars, and then they quickly patched that. I'm guessing that this has been an ongoing problem since release. And that is the end of the patch notes. Yes, bit of a surprise. I think a lot of us were expecting a lot more from this patch. So, notable things that we are not seeing here are the live weather fix. A lot of people have been, including myself, have been plagued by the live weather problem. There are various solutions being posted in forums. Essentially, if you put live weather on, sometimes you'll get live weather, and other times you will get just clear blue skies, despite the fact that you know right now, where you are, it should be the middle of a storm or something. Some people have said, oh, you only get live weather on the first run. Other people have said you get live weather if you run Microsoft Flight Sim in admin mode. I have tried various things, and it is a little bit sporadic. I've not been able to get to the bottom of that one myself, but it is definitely a problem. And live weather certainly is something that we will most definitely need if we're going to fly on a network, because if the ATC is going to give us a local pressure, we want that pressure to be correct given our own personal weather settings, and that's not really going to happen unless we've got live weather. So a live weather fix is something that it looks like we're going to have to wait for. Most notable exceptions as well, there are no fixes to any aircraft. There's various autopilot quirks across a range of aircraft right now. I personally have seen, I'm sure you have as well, VNAV pathing problems, overspeeding issues, overcompensating on pitch and roll. Like, the list goes on in terms of some of the onboard avionics just not behaving very well in autopilot mode. There's another one that I've seen with a heading bug only moving 10 degrees at a time instead of 1 degree. Possibly that's related to the honeycomb yoke, I don't know. Significantly lower FPS in cockpits with glass. I've noticed that if I fly around in VFR aircraft that has no Garmin G1000 or anything, I get fantastic FPS. If I jump into something like a Dreamliner, which admittedly has much more complicated avionics, it's noticeable. Like, if you go from external camera to cockpit camera, it is noticeable how much FPS loss you take. So there's no mention of that and no fixes for that. Another thing, when you start the sim, significant startup times. There's just a whole period of time where you sit and wait and nothing happens on the screen. Something should come up and just say, loading or whatever, but there's nothing on that one either. And also, I've noticed a gradual decline in performance when running the sim for a few hours. What I do now is I tend to try and restart the sim after, at the most, every 3 hours. I've seen it where I've been playing for 5 or 6 hours and I can see the performance just gradually decrease. I don't know if there's a memory leak or what, but there's definitely some question mark over endurance, I'd say, of Microsoft Flight Sim, and that may affect people if they come to sort of fly long-haul flying. At the moment, the best advice I can give you is just try and restart your sim at the most every 3 hours. Now, I wasn't expecting any new features in this patch. I was expecting to address a lot of the issues, though, that I've mentioned above. So the question is, why? Why is this patch just, a couple of weeks after release? Why is this patch, which is going to be coming out in a week's time, basically somewhat underwhelming? I think a lot of people will be disappointed by this patch. The only reason I can realistically think of that is, justifiable in my view is vacation. If we consider that the developers, Asobo, and all the people around this have probably been working very, very hard in the run-up to release on the 18th. They've probably worked overtime, weekends in July and August, and they probably need a break. Like, they probably released on the 18th, and they were like, oh my god, I can go and spend some time with the family, get some downtime. There was probably a very big crunch in the run-up to release, and, I can completely understand that. I think we have to give them a little bit of space here. A lot of people are going to probably give them grief over this patch and say it's not enough, but just consider the context of it all when you do that. I think it's fair enough. I would have liked to have seen some avionics fixes and particularly live weather, but I'm very happy that they're fixing SimConnect. One would hope that they are, at least coming back from vacation now, and potentially the next big update will contain more significant changes. That's my hope anyway. They're basically saying that they're now hard at work fixing the snapshot build and the development roadmap, and they hope to release that within the next few weeks, and their next update is on the 3rd of September. So, middle of next week, we can expect two things. One, we can expect a patch for this, and the second thing we can expect is an update, hopefully talking about maybe the roadmap ahead. But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. I shall see you on the next one. Take care. Happy flying.